Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Learning Photoshop. What I've done for this evening is I've chosen an image that is a raw file, and I'm going to load the raw file into Photoshop. So let's begin. I'm going to open up a folder which I put on my desktop, which is named Unprocessed Raw Files. I'm going to choose a file, and when I double click the file, it has been programmed to open with Photoshop. This is a time saver and prevents you from having to go through several actions to achieve this load. So I'm going to double click, and the image is loaded into Photoshop. Now bear in mind that we've got some things to do with this image, and we'd rather do them using the automatic processes within the system to carry these out in the first instance. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, when we go to the edit panel, we're going to select auto, and this is just going to introduce what the computer believes is a significant starting point. We're now going to move down to having a look at the optics, and I'm going to use the profile corrections. So what this means that within Photoshop, the built-in profile belonging to the camera that took these images has been applied. These adjustments have been carried out. I'm now going to go to the geometry. I'm going to straighten this image. I'm just going to use the standard auto straighten function, which is A. And if I click A, it straightened the image up. Now, from this particular point of view, we can have a look at areas that we want to concentrate on. We want to, of course, now that we've done that, we want to fix the white balance. And if I go and find a grey area, I'm just going to use this building. So I'm going to go to basic, I'm going to pick up the white balance tool, and I'm going to take a reading off here, which is pretty good. We're looking for a mid-tone grey, something that's not too much. And there we go, 132, 131, 131. Remember, one absolute mid-tone grey is 128, so we're very close. So if I click a button, at that point, we have now fixed the white balance. Go to your palette and click the top icon so that you're not going to do it all over again. I'm just going to click bring it back in line so I can see it full screen. So what do we want to do with this image initially? Okay. I think that we're going to move along to the filters, and let's have a look at what the filters are capable of doing. So I'm just going to go to the new masking filter, and I'm going to just ask the computer to select what it believes is sky content. And when I click the button, it's effectively selected the sky content. At this stage, I wouldn't worry too much about any particular overflow, as when you get a bit more proficient, you can be as precise as you wish to be by taking out any element of overspill. We're not going to do that today. This is an appreciation of how the program works. So what do we want to do to the sky? We can apply some contrast, and if we do that, we're only applying the contrast to the sky. If we're looking at exposure, we're only looking at exposure in the sky. Okay, so it's done a reasonable job of what we want it to do. So let's just put a bit of contrast in. And what I want to do is I just want to lower the saturation of the sky. The sky is pretty blue, and I'm just going to tone it down a little. And you can see that I've knocked the saturation of the sky down. What I can do is I can create a new mask. Okay, I'm going to create a new mask. And for the new mask, I'm going to select subject. Okay, so when I press subject, you'll find that we've got an area of subject selected. But this is where I want to add to that subject. I want to add other parts of the image. So when I click onto the add and I choose the brush, and if you pick the brush up and make the brush with your, if you float your mouse, your arrow keys, and just make the brush a bit bigger, I'm just going to include some more into the selection. And again, you can be as precise as you wish in terms of the amount of time that you want to spend on it. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to separate by adding some exposure. And when I do that, I am only exposing I'm only adding exposure to the area that has been selected. And I can add some contrast to that as well. And I can lift up the shadows a little bit. Okay. And from what we've now done is, I'm just going to put this up on full screen. As we examine the sky vis-a-vis the horizon line, etc., what we've now got is we've got a picture, and we have adjusted the exposure. What I may like to do now, just as a finishing touch, just apply a little bit of an alteration to the water, and we're going to do that by applying yet another mask. And if I apply a mask this time and go for a new mask, I can effectively go for a brush. And what the brush does is the brush allows us now, instead of the computer, it allows us to select the area that we want to make alterations to. And with this area of the water, I just want to be a little bit more precise in our selection, so that we can effectively subtract make a subtraction from any of the overspills that we may have. And using the subtract brush allows us to be more precise. Again, you can spend more time on this than I am. As I said before, this is an appreciation program, okay? And what I want to do is I want to hit my add brush again and take the brush, and we're going to make a little add in here, and we're going to make a little add in here. Next thing we want to do is we want to apply some changes to it. So I'm going to apply some contrast to the water. I'm going to apply some exposure to the water just to bring it up a little bit. And I can apply some texture to the water to allow us to see some of the ripples in the water. And maybe a little bit of clarity. Okay. And if I now was to open the image, and we can just remind ourselves, I'm just going to pull up what we started with. There's the before, and there's the after.